Welcome everybody to our Ayurveda talk. I am Marie, an Ayurvedic health practitioner, and we are going to talk today about how you can move into this next season with warmth showing up in the best possible way. So in Ayurveda, we are always aligning with nature, and we want to adjust our diet and our lifestyle so that as we move from season to season or climate to climate, if we travel or whatever it is that's going on in our lives, we can make adjustments that help us have balance. Okay, so last week we talked about how summer in Ayurveda actually begins mid-May and goes until mid-July. We talked about that last week. And then we also talked about what happens when we think of heat in Ayurveda, we think of pitta. And so this season is a little tricky because as we move into mid-May and we start to experience more warm temperatures, hot temperatures, right? We've had some major heat going on, not in the last 2 days, but last weekend. So as we move into hot temperatures, what starts to happen? Well, actually, what starts to happen is Vata gets pushed out of balance. Of course, it is going to impact the fire element inside of you as well. But initially, it is actually Vata that goes out of balance. So we talked about that last week. So please check out that talk. As we move into summer, it is a dry, hot season. Dry, hot means that Vata is going to start to accumulate due to the dryness, and it's going to be dehydrating us due to the heat. So we talked about that last week. Now, the part that I really want to address today is how do we move into our exercise? How do we approach movement as we move into summer? Most people, at least in the West, they don't adjust their schedules. They don't adjust their food. They just do what they want. And if this is the exercise schedule that they had, they maintain it. They don't make adjustments based on the season. In Ayurveda, we do. We do make adjustments because if you continue to just do the same thing, it might actually cause an imbalance. If you continue to do intense exercise and you move into a season that has a lot of heat, you're increasing heat, you're increasing the dryness, the harshness, and that is going to cause Vata to accumulate. So air and ether is accumulating, right? What happens when you're too close to a fire? It starts drying you out and you want to step away. That's really what we're trying to do, is step away from dry, step away from heat. So anything that you're doing in your life that can increase the harshness, increase the dryness, increase the heat, you want to step away from that. All right, so how do we approach exercise when we move into a more intense season, when we have extreme heat starting to show up? Well, you want to base exercise as, first of all, it should be completely for healing and therapeutic purposes. The exercise that you're choosing to do is based on your appropriate constitution and or imbalance. So if you have an imbalance that is impacting you, you have to consider that when you are choosing exercise. So you want to have a balanced state for your health, and you want to have exercise that is going to tone and balance all the tissues in the body, the channels in the body, improve circulation, improve muscle strength, tone, weight control, help the respiratory system and the digestive system. All of those are important. You want to have exercise that you're doing that creates harmonious state of mind, so you're not aggravating. If you are dealing with an imbalance caused by heat and you are now doing hot yoga, you are going to further take yourself out of balance. So you're always wanting to look at how can I create harmony for my body, for my mind, and using exercise, types of exercises that are going to level that. So there are 3 levels of exercise that we have in, I love this because this is not something I've ever talked about. So 3 types of exercise. Did you know that there's passive exercise? And do you know what it is? Massage. Oh my God. This is the best season to get massage, you guys. So you need to get massage. So massage is a passive form of exercise, right? Because it's going to manipulate, move the muscles. It's going to help break up any kind of buildup in the tissues, in the fascial tissue. The next form of exercise is active exercise, like walking, skiing. And then there's energized balancing type of exercise. So energized balancing would be like Qigong, Tai Chi, and yoga falls into that category. To prevent insufficient or excessive exercise, Ayurveda really does always stress the individual approach. So the individual and what's going on in their life, what's going on with their constitution, then is where exercise is going to be based on. Okay, so for Vata and Pitta constitutions, a lot of times with Vata loves to move, right? Because Vata is all about air, and air is all about movement. That's the wind, right? That's why I always say you want to calm the internal winds. I'm talking about Vata when I say that. Calm the internal winds. So if we're dealing with a lot of exercise, that's going to stir up the wind. All right. And so Vata and Pitta heat, a lot of times those individuals will have this idea in their whole body where they just feel like if there's no pain, then there's no gain. They really feel that way. Like the harder, the better. Totally Pitta people. The harder, the better. And when this type of exercise is happening, they can deplete themselves. So what Pitta individuals need to do, or Vata, is they exercise until they start to perspire, and then you stop. Excessive exercise will hurt and dehydrate Vata. It will hurt them. And it will overheat the Pitta. That's what it's going to do. If you already have a lot of heat going on in your body, it's going to overheat you. On the other hand, if you are a Kapha individual or you have a Kapha imbalance, that means you have more earth and water that's impacting your constitution. Then those individuals need lots of exercise, very active routine, strongly advised that they are doing exercise to where they have fatigue. So they want to exercise intensely. They need to be stimulated. That's because you're dealing with earth and water, which are heavy and dense. So you need intense friction and exercise to get those individuals moving and to help improve their actual condition. So you want to improve through exercise, mental alertness, digestion, and weight control. Okay, so if you are a professional athlete, your guidelines are going to be very different because they're going to have to work on endurance and they're going to need to perspire and then work in towards fatigue. But that is a completely different type of person that we are talking about. For Vata, what are the best forms of exercise? Well, walking is absolutely the best. So you can walk and hike. Believe it or not, trampoline. Why? Because trampoline is creating a little bit of impact, and Vata people need to build their bones. Swimming, dancing, and cross-country skiing. Those are the most recommended. Walking is the best. For Pitta individuals, so people who have a lot of heat, the best form of exercise is going to be walking. Absolutely the best for them as well. So hiking, downhill skiing, so alpine skiing, water sports. Why? Because they run hot, so water sports going to cool them down. Team sports. Why? Because that helps them work together. It becomes more playful. And then also, like I said, hiking. So hiking is very good for them. They need to be out in the trees. They need to be out in nature. If you are a kapha individual or you have a kapha imbalance, that's you're dealing with a lot of earth and a lot of water. The best form of exercise for you is also going to be walking after meals. So, and it's going to be a fast paced, more intense walk. You want to have active sports for them and then more interactive sports. So, like basketball is good for them. Basketball, you're using your whole body, you're all over the place, you're here, you're there. Excellent for those kapha individuals. Jogging and running. And then also, they can do water sports as well, as long as it's not too cold, because remember, kapha runs cold. So if they're in a climate that's cold and then they're in the water and it's cold, that is going to cause possibly some stagnation. If they are in the water sport, it needs to be super active water sport, okay, like water polo. Okay, so that is how we approach exercise when we are looking at summertime. And remember, summer in Ayurveda, it starts mid-May. We are in mid-May now. Mid-May, and it goes till mid-July. Heat is going to start accumulating. So heat is not usually what we're dealing with internally quite yet. It'll start to build. And then as we hit the end of summer, you're really going to start feeling all that accumulated heat that now we have to deal with. And that's why we end up doing those fall cleanses, because we want to pull out the excess heat, stabilize the body, and nourish it so that you are nice and strong and stable during the winter. All right, so that is our talk, how you approach exercise as you move into the hot temperatures of summer. Make the adjustments. And if you're not totally sure, what am I dealing with? Am I a vata? Am I a pitta? Am I a kapha? Do I have any of those imbalances? Reach out to me. Let's get you an Ayurvedic consultation and get you on track so that you can make the right adjustments for you and have a good quality of life. Happiness is important, and you will have more of that if you are living in alignment with your dosha. All right, you guys. Well, thank you for coming tonight, and we will see you next time.